it's very relevant, this project, inside the focus that Erasmus gives to the social inclusion. And that is an action that is managed directly by Brussels. Our project that is the application of the technique, a very old and experimental technique, the Transcendental Meditation in schools, with the aim to reduce the level of conflicts and to promote social inclusion. I would like to recommend to the states to take into account also in thinking the future of the Recovery Fund, the opportunity to help all the projects, to support all the projects that can give also a new way, a new methodology for starting dreaming again. And I hope that experiences like the Friends one can be very important for the future of our country.
Abbiamo 900 alunni, circa 400 alla scuola secondaria di primo grado e 500 circa alla scuola primaria. Quindi è un istituto grande e anche molto complesso, perché abbiamo all'interno del nostro istituto una grande presenza sia in termini assoluti che anche percentuali di alunni con bisogni educativi speciali e in particolare un aumento progressivo di alunni con disturbi evolutivi, ad esempio disturbi dell'attenzione, problemi di comportamento. Quando una mia insegnante mi ha proposto questo progetto che conosceva, ho pensato perché no? Perché no? Perché non provare? I feedback che sono arrivati dagli alunni, che sono tutti alunni della scuola primaria, siamo partiti con 5 classi della scuola primaria, quarte e quinte, sono stati estremamente positivi, sorprendentemente positivi. E questo lo hanno notato sia gli alunni, che lo hanno scritto proprio, mi sento più tranquillo, mi sento più calmo, riesco a pensare meglio, che gli insegnanti. E si accorgono che da quando gli alunni della loro classe meditano, questo ricade ovviamente anche sulle relazioni all'interno del gruppo classe.
Mi aiuta molto per la concentrazione, mi riesco a concentrare un po' meglio. La mattina mi dà energia per continuare la giornata e il pomeriggio mi rilassa. Quando facevo le verifiche ero agitata e non riuscivo a scrivere. Invece adesso mi aiuta la meditazione perché non sono più tanto agitata.
Da quando ho iniziato la meditazione mi sento più forte di carattere, cioè in senso che già lo scorso anno ero molto sensibile e adesso so reagire e mi sono rafforzato. Anche con gli amici sono adesso molto più socievole, più sicuro di me.
As Fabrizio was saying, the Friends project was dealing with the inclusive education, and in this context, the requirement of well-being, both for students and teachers, is considered. The impact of the lack of well-being has been confirmed and quantified by the OECD, so the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Their study of 2015 on well-being shows that anxiety about schoolwork, homework and tests is negatively related to performance in science, mathematics and reading. So simply anxiety is influencing that. They also found the students with lesser opportunities, they have less motivation to achieve than advantaged students do. And then they conclude students who are amongst the most motivated score 38 points higher in science, and this is equivalent of more than 1 year of schooling. So you see that disadvantaged students might lose 1 year of schooling simply because of their situation. Students across OECD countries who reported that they feel like an outsider at school scored 22 points lower in science on average than those who did not report so. Schools where the incidence of bullying is high by international standards score 47 points lower in science. So this is more than a year that those youngsters are losing. And finally, in the context of the COVID-19, also the Commission voiced a substantial concern about the well-being of youngsters. So therefore, the key to successful inclusive education is that we need to restore the balance by decreasing the challenges coming from fewer opportunities, and on the other hand, increasing the resources affecting the well-being. As an example, it could be a decrease in bullying and an increase in resilience and tolerance. And the approach taken in the Friends project was the implementation of the QTTM program based on Transcendental Meditation.
Basically, there were two projects in this Erasmus Plus Key Action 3 program for social inclusion through education that were going on in the last 3 years. The first one has been the Europe project. Europe stands for ensuring unity and respect as an outcome for the people of Europe. And the Europe project was implementing in Sweden, in Portugal, and in Holland, and had as target students from 12 years to end of scholastic year. And the Friends project came 1 year after, in 2018, expanding the implementation at national level in Portugal and also expanding it in new countries such as UK, Belgium, and Italy. And also expanding the target from children 5 years old till adult education. Actually, the characteristic of all the implementation we had in the Friends project were the participation of primary schools. The target have been disadvantaged students and learners, and the objectives promoting inclusive education and supporting teachers in dealing with the increasing diversity in the learning environment. Overall, the two projects have involved in the training more than 2,300 students, about 1,250 teachers, and more than 300 parents, for a total of more than 52 clusters of schools and schools that have been involved in Europe, in all the different countries in the project. And also with an expansion in new sectors like migrant, prisons, sport, and also an expansion into higher education. In Portugal was very strong, the expansion at national level. It started in the Europe from one school, the Alberto Rios school, that have been the pioneer of the project, and today we will connect with this school and we'll see the development, the actual development. And expanded to all of Algarve and then the southern region and then to Lisbon and to the northern region up to the island of Madeira. And there are various reasons that could have steered this huge expansion. For sure, a great synergy that there was between the Friends project and governmental programs such the TAPE for disadvantaged schools in disadvantaged territories, and also with UNESCO school that gave a visibility to our project, both at national level, but also outside, like to Portuguese-speaking countries. The project also expanded in various countries, such also Ireland and Romania. And after the end of the project in January, the project has been continuing and continued also during confinement. In fact, Friends results can be really useful to answer the emerging priorities and the needs that are identified in this actual world situation. We are now in this recovery phase, and the Friends project demonstrated that QTTM provides outcomes promoting emotional and psychological well-being, and these are essential elements for supporting all of us to overcome this recovery phase in the education sector, in the health sector, etc. And also, obviously, the result of the Friends could be very helpful for the prospective following phases from the government of resilience for creating a resilient society where people not only with resilience react to a challenging situation, but also as the means in terms of creativity, of intelligence, of creating innovation.
What we find when we look at the brain during the practice of Transcendental Meditation, and particularly here we're looking at the brain waves, we find that if we look on the left, with eyes open, there's very little coherence between different areas of the brain, very little during eyes closed. But during Transcendental Meditation, the whole brain becomes coherent, with the frontal cortex fully lively and communicating well with the occipital cortex, so that you see that now the higher human values begin to be able to govern the whole brain. We see also the left side, the analytical side and the artistic side on the right, becoming more coherent. So this is really a new innovation in education, develop the coherent functioning of the brain. And what happens then is that all areas of academic performance improve. So we find that creativity increases, practical intelligence, field independence, mental efficiency, abstract intelligence, all of the qualities that you find in the very, very best students, they all begin to improve simply by putting in 2 periods during the school day of about 15 minutes each, where the students can practice Transcendental Meditation in the classroom as part of the regular curriculum. We see here over the last 30 years, many studies. Here's a compilation. You see there are techniques of concentration, there are other techniques, and there's Transcendental Meditation. And the conclusion is, from meta-analyses of randomized controlled trials, that Transcendental Meditation is by far the most effective way of reducing anxiety. And we see at this time of the epidemic, large increases of anxiety across the whole population, including students and teachers. So this is going to be a very valuable tool. And when we look at teachers who are now experiencing unprecedented levels of burnout because they're on the front line, they could become infected with COVID, they have all of the usual demands on them that teachers have. And we see after 4 months in this study that the TM group compared to the control group in this randomized control study had highly significant reductions in burnout. And here we see health insurance statistics looking at hospital admissions, and notice that respiratory diseases, infectious diseases, as well as heart disorders were highly significantly decreased. So this is a great innovation that we can introduce to prevent problems in education and in health. And then when we look at social behavior, here's a study from the Journal of Education looking at a school in San Francisco, where after Transcendental Meditation was introduced, there was a 79% drop in suspensions over 3 years. And these suspensions are due to bullying and violence. So we see the whole climate of the school begins to improve significantly after introducing Transcendental Meditation. So in summary, what we see is increased resilience, increased vitality and well-being, creativity, learning ability, empathy and emotional balance and tolerance, and decreased stress, anxiety, negative affects, burnout and violence.
Transcendental meditation has made me more tranquil and flexible. Transcendental meditation helps you face unexpected events in everyday life. I think I'm very lucky to have discovered and learned it.
molto fortunato di averla scoperta e di aver cominciato a meditare.
Transcendental meditation has changed my life completely. This year I finally started to look people in the eyes while talking. After 2 or 3 weeks of regular practice, I stopped suffering from headaches too. Transcendental meditation has changed me not only as a student, but also in my private life and as an athlete. I noticed improvements in notes in subjects I used to struggle with. I'm also better at swimming when I meditate before competitions. Since I'm calmer, my performances are better.
We would like first to present you the results from teachers and staff. General job satisfaction increased, vitality also increased, intrinsic motivation increased, positive effects also increased, and negative effects decreased. In the other 4 dimensions, purpose in life, self-acceptance, autonomy, and environmental mastery, they increased also. Related to burnout, we saw a decrease in emotional exhaustion and depersonalization. Also, perceived stress decreased, satisfaction with life increased, and the anxiety state and trait also decreased. The subjective well-being, it's a composed measure that uses the satisfaction with life and the positive and negative effects, and we can see that subjective well-being perceived by our participants increased. We also ran some interviews. It's a qualitative study based upon semi-structured interviews to teachers. They describe the classes being more calm, tranquil, students being more focused and with higher self-regulation. They also see improvements in the academic performance, at the autonomy of the students and the focus of the students. Regarding school atmosphere, they feel that the climate of the school improved. There are less conflicts and increased cohesion. Finally, the personal benefits of the quiet time was being more calm, having more tranquility, overall joy and happiness, and to be more resilient and more determined about their lives. To summarize some key findings from Portugal, we can see that TM has a positive and significant effect in psychological dimensions on well-being for children and adults. And adults report greater and better connections with others and increased self-competence and subjective well-being. And children report more emotional self-control.
I will tell you about the studies of Germany as an expansion country and Belgium and the UK. The goal is self-balancing through quiet time transcendental meditation for more resources and less challenges. And the results of the teachers are less feelings of emotional exhaustion, so it's less burnout. I feel burned out from my work. 13% went it down, so it's a very good result. And stress also, 10% less perceived stress. In the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? For example, 10%, it's a huge drop down. For the students, after 3 months, 4.5% more school satisfaction, 15% more positive feelings, 26% less negative feelings, and 1% more resilience. So, for example, they feel more inspired, feel less nervous, and they can better work out with their problems. And above all, they like going to school more. So for conclusion, statistical results on the participating teachers from the countries showed more job satisfaction and life satisfaction, more personal realization and feelings of control, less physical stress symptoms, as Ashley told is very important, less stress and less physical symptoms, less emotional exhaustion and feelings of burnout for the teachers, also important. And the participating students showed more school satisfaction, more positive effects, higher resilience, less emotional symptoms such as feeling unhappy or tearful, less hyperactivity, less negative effects. The results were reliable. The results were all in the expected direction. So this indicates positive results. In summary, the key findings are TM lowers stress levels for teachers and students, positive outlook on life increases, persons become happier and more satisfied, hyperactivity and burnout decrease.
So basically this presentation will be like a confirmation to the good results that we have been hearing so far by my partner. The results were very similar across the various parts of Europe. So the important part of this research is that we had a randomized control trial, meaning that we divided the classes in 2 groups. Some of them received the Transcendental Meditation immediately, and other classes that they were tested at the beginning of the research after 3 months, and then they received the TM intervention as well. And you see here the huge differences in this blue bar here and this red bar here. So meaning that students that received the meditation decreased their emotional problems and also their relational problems. And conversely, Students who did not receive the meditation program, they had an increase in their emotional problems from baseline to the subsequent 3 months. So it means that adding in school TM significantly improved the emotional status of the children. So we then put together the 5 classes before and after interventions, and you see here again the significant improvement before and after the intervention. So again, emotional problems, but also somatization. So it is an important indicators here, because the children tend to express their difficulties, their distress toward the physical symptoms, and the meditation was able to significantly decrease those symptoms here. So they feel also a physical well-being, not only emotional well-being, and also a significant decrease in children difficulties in the total score. So in conclusion, this is a randomized controlled trial, so it's a solid scientific data that provide evidence on the beneficial effect of TM on student well-being when compared to a control condition. And also the fact that TM is feasible, is doable within an elementary school setting with good effect. And so this is an important finding because, again, the results are solid. It's a controlled trial, and there are very few studies on such younger population. So it's really an important adding to the literature on transcendental meditation.
Results show the possibility to increase well-being in different school contexts, in different level of the school, with different teachers. The application of the Transcendental Meditation in the school or research suggests positive results, increase the well-being and create good conditions for the self-regulation and outcomes of the academics results. So thank you for all, and good work.
And what you find with transcendental meditation is actually the inside-out approach. You decrease stress level, you let people more being themselves, and as a consequence of that, without intellectual considerations or whatever, things just happen. The interesting point that it doesn't take years, it takes weeks, it takes maybe 1 or 2 months. I mean, it's unbelievable what kind of large effects you have even in a short time of period. What we also realized, and what was very interesting, is the positive effect on teachers. We heard it several times. Teachers who are saying, well, I feel more relaxed. Actually, what they're saying is, I'm a better teacher. And we all know that the effect of teachers in front of a class is very, very significant on the climate in the class and the way that the children learn, etc., etc., etc. So a happy, positive, well-rested teacher makes a world of difference. And actually what we find now, that every school can be a top school. TM can improve the performance of schools significantly in a few months. In general terms, TM improves well-being for students and teachers, helps to decrease stress, anxiety, and increases overall well-being, and improves the overall climate in school. In schools where you have a very negative climate, a lot of aggression, students push each other to more negativity. What we find in schools with TM, that we turn that around. Students push each other to more positivity. A very interesting effect. So it's easy and straightforward to introduce transcendental meditation in school. And our conclusion is that TM, it contains the promise of bringing learning to an unprecedented level of learning not seen before because of this inside-out approach. Any school can benefit from introducing TM in schools. And I think it's very, very important that the French project, the Europe project, get a large follow-up through the whole of Europe.
We are a town which has some
grave problems. We have lots of poverty. We have lots of social neighborhoods here in Olhão.
Temos muitos alunos que são provenientes de agregados familiares, de famílias com muitos problemas socioemocionais. Temos alunos cujos pais estão detidos.
They sometimes don't have parents that can give you the comfort or can give you sometimes something to eat, and they are there in the classroom.
Nós nesta escola tínhamos alunos com problemas de comportamento, com alunos muito agressivos. Eles não sabiam como é que deveriam estar numa sala de aula, eles não respeitavam o outro, não se respeitavam entre eles e não respeitavam o professor.
Eu antigamente era uma criança mais nervosa, era daqueles de ofender os colegas, metia-me com o pessoal, mas desde que comecei a fazer meditação parece que comecei a acalmar, parece que outra pessoa, sinto mais relaxado, mais livre, olho para as coisas com outra claridade, com outros olhos, aprendi muita coisa.
Tinha muito baixa autoestima e era muito negativo, estava sempre a desvalorizar-me. Felizmente a meditação apareceu na minha vida e tudo mudou completamente.
O projeto Europe apresenta-se como uma ferramenta realmente extraordinária, porque o programa Tempo de Silêncio é fácil de implementar, é simples e realmente traz-nos resultados concretos, e isso pode-se ver a vários níveis.
Professores, vocês já repararam que têm nas vossas mãos a melhor matéria-prima que existe? São os nossos alunos, é o ser humano. Vamos fazer com que esses seres humanos sejam as melhores pessoas da manhã, e temos um projeto inovador no qual acreditamos é uma ferramenta poderosíssima que muda comportamentos, atitudes das pessoas.
Hello, I'm talking to you from the Escola Alberto Iria em Olhão. I'm with the students of Paulo Corte Real, and we'll hear from the students.
Hello, my name is Tarini, and I'm going to talk about my experience in meditation and in the school. If you want more inner peace, well-being, and happiness, do meditation. Meditation helps us to settle down our mind. Meditation gives the body deep rest that is deeper than the rest from sleep. We learn meditate by meditating, and about my experience in school is very good. In 1 year, I learned many things from my teachers. All the teachers and students are very helpful. They are always ready to help me in the study. My school time is the best time of my life. I feel proud to be part of this school. Thank you.
We, students of 9D, we are very happy to be part of this project. It helps us a lot with school. We have a lot more focus and calm. What helps us very much is that we are meditating since 7th grade. We were hoping to have with us our esteemed principal, but she passed me a message, and it says like this: our school since long has welcomed innovative projects, both national and international, namely the Europe and France projects, which attained the expected success. Now, once more, we made a proposal with the project with the following theme: measure of personal, social, and community development. And the central theme of this project is to develop Time of Silence, a project deeply rooted in our school and which is part of our culture in the school. It gave us also the opportunity to contract a specialized technician, Antonio Gonçalves, that is me, who already cooperated with us. We also would like to say that we have the unconditional support of the Ministry of Education in the implementation of these innovative approaches towards the well-being and educational success of the students. We will hear from Miguel Buleu, the principal of the cluster of schools Dom Dinis.
In 2 school years were formed almost 500 students and 50 teachers, as well as some school staff and parents. In December 2019, we accomplished having 99% of our primary school, more or less 400 students, between 6 and 10 years old, practicing a quiet time with the Transcendental Meditation technique. With COVID confinement, a school distance learning plan included quiet time task. It's my conviction the new educational challenge goal is educating our kids for well-being and inclusion in education. And TM, for sure, is an enormous help tool to achieve that. Thank you to all.
I wanted to emphasize a point very important in the message from the principal of the Alberto Iria, that the program to which the principal was referring allowed them to hire officially as TM teacher Antonio Gonçalves for the school. So he has a real contract with the school for that. And I think this is the first time this happened, at least in Europe. So I just wanted to emphasize this because I think this is a great achievement and for sure will be a great boost to our project in the school and could be a very good suggestion for other countries to include this possibility for school and for other schools in Portugal. Okay, thank you.
Our analysis on the impact in both general education media shows that they are interested in the project as a tool for achieving all these objectives such as nonviolent education, resilience and inclusion. These are issues that nowadays media are all interested in, and we consider that with this kind of uncertain times we are living, they will be more and more interested in all these kind of issues. In that sense, we consider that the dissemination of the project on a wider level is essential, because it not only gives more visibility of the time, quiet time with the TM itself, but also would help anybody who is trying to implement in schools or contacting or negotiating in schools, so that there is a widely spread, verified, easy to implement working methodology on European level. Thank you.
34 of our are practicing on a regular basis, and they all reported very significant changes in how they felt about themselves as individuals, but also about how they felt as employees of our company, about how they felt in their work. And all of them said they felt more valued, and they were very significant results, very powerful indeed. And it's renewed my practice and the practice of those people in school when I've fed back the results to them.
The impact on my life personally has been significant.
I feel like I've been given permission almost just to have time to myself, to think, to relax, to just let everything kind of flow, and it's amazing. I love it.
I put so much into being the father, being the husband, being the carer for my father, all of the above, and I was putting myself bottom of the pile or not even in the pile at all. And I think what TM does, it gives you that opportunity to reflect on that and realise that if you do that, eventually there'll be payback, and then you're no good to anybody. You have to find that daily time for yourself.
My family will tell you that I take less things home, I take less baggage home, because my day finishes and I'm much calmer in the way that I deal with things.
We've sometimes talked about how you fit it in, particularly if you've got a busy home life. And people have talked about stopping the car in a car park and meditating and doing all sorts of things like that.
Not only do I enjoy it, that time for yourself, that time for almost shutting a very busy brain down has made me feel very much like a different person.
One of the things that I was very impressed with when I looked at the video footage of other schools that had used TM was it was quite amazing to notice the eyes of the young people on the videos, and they were all shining and their faces were shining. And one of the things that worries me about the young people that we teach is that they look very down and very miserable, and I'm quite concerned about that level of depression and misery in children as young as they are. So I am hoping that shining light that comes from within that I've seen on the videos will be transferred into our schools. You can see from the video how my colleagues have reacted to the introduction of TM within the schools, and who would have predicted that we would be entering this very stressful time of pandemic. And I think that it's provided us all with that reserve of resilience that we've needed to get through these times. When the government in the UK initially announced that they were closing down schools because of the nature, the vulnerable nature of the young people that we deal with, we were required to carry on teaching those children that wanted to come in. And the response of the staff, many of whom are meditators, to that has amazed me, because it's quite a fearful situation currently, but the level of resilience that people have developed after a year and 6 months, I think I've been meditating certainly since May 2018. And I think the longer that you're meditating, the more impact it has. And so that it has enabled my staff to be much more resilient in difficult times. And they have been able to give more to the young people.
I'd now like to introduce Lawrence Taroni, who is the head teacher of the North East Essex. And he's enthusiastic as ever for the programme.
I'd just like to say, really, that meditation since June 2018 has kept me very grounded as a school leader. And we've got 7 staff here in a relatively small school that are consistently meditating. And I'd say since March, since we've had the lockdown period in the United Kingdom, my thinking processes, my ability to deal with what is probably one of the most significant crisis situations as school leaders we've had, has really, meditation has allowed me to deal with that much more than I ever be able to in the past. And I think it's also made difference to the small groups of students that we've had during the day. In summary, the world pandemic has been a real test of our school's meditation and the 7 members of staff that do it consistently and regularly. So I just want to say thank you and for the time and the effort that Maharishi Foundation have put into us as a school, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
My link teacher in the school said that it's the toughest school in Liverpool, and I think that's probably true. Some of the kids, their fathers were in jail or they were living in refuges with their mothers. Hopefully I'm going to teach some more staff next week, because my link teacher has persuaded them to learn. Also, as a follow-up, primary school in Blackpool where we taught, they're organising a resilience event. So hopefully we will be there next June for their resilience event, which is funded. There's just going to be an opportunity for us to follow on what we've done. It's been great fun doing it. It's been fantastic hearing what everybody has to say. And I just hope that we can continue and carry on with this, because it's just so vital for everybody at the present time.
I was the head teacher of Maharishi School for 29 years, and the school was established so that Transcendental Meditation would form part of the school, and the pupils would be meditating morning and afternoon. This is an intervention that affects everybody, and it improves for everyone. The central aim of the school could be stated as, the world is my family. And the world in this case means everything and everyone. And what it means is that everything and everyone in the world is as dear to me as my own self. This is a project that improves resilience and inclusion from the very basis. So all the adults involved with the program, all the pupils involved with the program uniquely benefit.
Ik ben Julia uit Roemenië.
Ik ben Michiel uit België.
Ik ben Kelvin uit Kenia.
Ik ben Nazir uit Afghanistan.
Ik ben Adisu van Ethiopië.
5 jongeren met verschillende achtergronden die samen het project Together We Stand hebben opgezet.
Ik wil een warme omgeving creëren, waar wij respectvol met elkaar kunnen omgaan.
Ik vind het super dat ik mezelf kan zijn. Dat ik erbij kan horen.
De meeste van ons hebben veel meegemaakt. Iedereen heeft zijn eigen struggle.
Zo ontdekken we dat we in onze verschillen toch heel veel gelijkenissen hebben.
Mijn naam is Sjaak Huigen. Ik ben leraar Transcendental Meditation sinds 1988. Ik heb ongeveer 1200 mensen leren mediteren hier in België. Je moet je voorstellen dat je een techniek krijgt en leert beheersen die jou de kans geeft om een diepe toestand van rust te krijgen die 2 keer dieper is dan slaap, terwijl je gewoon zittend in een stoel gesloten ogen hebt. Het resultaat is dat je aan één kant in een hele diepe toestand van rust zit en aan de andere kant helder wakker blijft. En dat geeft enorm veel voordelen ten aanzien van de gezondheid. Maar een van de belangrijke toepassingen is de PTSD, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, zoals die gevonden wordt bij mensen in oorlogssituaties. En daar blijkt de TM-techniek een enorm krachtige methode te zijn om die mensen af te helpen van de nefaste effecten van die zware stress die ze meegemaakt hebben in het verleden. En in dat kader voeren we verschillende projecten in België.
We kwamen in contact met deze jongeren die veel te lijden hadden onder de stress van wat ze in hun land en tijdens hun vlucht hadden meegemaakt. Die verhalen hebben ons erg geraakt. We hebben lang gezocht naar een manier om hen te kunnen helpen om rust in zichzelf terug te vinden.
Ik ben Joy en ik ben 15 jaar. Ik vind dat ik veel beter mijn leerstof voor school kan onthouden door mediteren en ik vind het ook leuk om te doen.
En elkaar als backup hebben.
We voelen dat we iets in beweging brengen.
Vaak praten wij over mijn land en jouw land, maar uiteindelijk is het onze wereld.
So we have had a very nice experience with our project in House of Colors with young refugees and also Belgian youngsters. We believe that TM can really bring some more cohesion, connection and peace in the society about the topic also of refugees, the multicultural society who is in evolution and which goes with a lot of stress and struggle. It was a very nice experience. And we really want to go on with it because we now want to start implementing it in an asylum center, which I am leading now. We are very grateful that we have met TM, that we see opportunities for the future, that we have the experience we had with our staff, ourselves, are very good. Is great. Just to work with refugees is already something very dynamic and stress related. So even for the co-workers to be taught TM is already a very great benefit. So even to the future, we want to extend that effect on the broader environment and also the refugees themselves. We want to give them the opportunity because we know all this. There is the next. I'm sorry, I cannot continue, but you are doing good.
In Belgium, as you know, we have two communities. We have French part speaking language and a Dutch one. In the French side, we introduced it in an elementary school in Eudeguien, where 95% of the students have learned TM with very great satisfaction. And all the teachers as well. And we did also the same in the Dutch side.
Hello everyone, I'm a criminologist and I had my master degree in 1979 at the University of Leuven. And I was interested, and still I am, in stress reduction in order to have better relationships in society and more quality of life and coexistence. Now these school projects we're talking about today are for me the examples to show that these goals are now realistic for the whole society. 2 years ago, the principal asked me to start with TM for 2 reasons. One, on the one hand, because TM has a scientific basis and it is a standardized method. On the other hand, because it perfectly meets the standards imposed by the Government of Education regarding the set goals of well-being of children in their education process. It is not only learning, but also living. The first time we did this meditation exercise on the playground with the whole school was very impressive. The silence with 120 children was so great that you could only hear the wind. Even the children who did not meditate were remarkably silent during this event, as if it had a kind of influence on their behavior. This collective silence or tranquility has now become a hallmark of the school. Each day begins with a meditation, and it is totally different start of the day, not going from the one activity jumping into the other, but making inner silence before receiving knowledge. The principal says that the school climate is so different from the past and from other schools where much more interventions are needed towards children, where there are many more absences or displacements than in this school. And a visit by the Inspectorate of the Ministry of Education led to being surprised and great appreciation, and above that, the Pupil Guidance Center of the school noticed very clearly the differences among many pupils with a degree of difficulty. So from now on, each new teacher and each new pupil will be offered the technique as a standard method used in the school education project. So therefore, we thank the Erasmus project, the European community, and especially all members of the Friends project for this great opportunity. Thank you.
Hanno partecipato al progetto 7 classi di scuola primaria e in quell'occasione molti genitori hanno dimostrato un interesse e chiesto di partecipare anche loro alla formazione. Purtroppo il Covid e il lockdown hanno limitato molto lo sviluppo del nostro progetto. I docenti però hanno proseguito con gli incontri con i maestri di meditazione in videoconferenza e molti di loro hanno riscontrato un miglioramento del benessere personale, soprattutto durante il periodo del lockdown, che è stato molto duro e impegnativo per gli insegnanti, sia dal punto di vista professionale per la didattica a distanza, sia dal punto di vista personale per la preoccupazione sanitaria. Per noi è stato quindi un progetto positivo e, visti gli esiti, intendiamo proseguire appena possibile con questo progetto che ci ha dato modo di sperimentare la riduzione dello stress attraverso la meditazione trascendentale.
Come persona la meditazione durante il lockdown mi ha aiutato tantissimo a mantenere una postura interiore corretta e a non farmi sentire il peso dell'ansia che derivava da tutto quello che gira attorno al Covid. Ed è stato un grande aiuto, un grande aiuto. Per quello che riguarda le classi, prima del lockdown abbiamo iniziato a lavorare con i bambini e immediatamente anche loro hanno avuto un beneficio in termini di più tranquillità in classe e più serenità. Anche loro la mattina, magari stai per compilare il registro, ti chiedono: maestro, dobbiamo fare la meditazione. E in generale le classi, almeno quelle che ho io, hanno avuto un buonissimo riscontro proprio in termini di serenità personale.
Lavorando a una sezione Montessori ho capito quanto il silenzio che porta il momento di meditazione e di quiete in classe possa aiutare i bambini in questo momento difficile in cui viene chiesto loro di seguire molte regole Il momento della meditazione, in questo caso in classe, aiuta tantissimo i bambini a rilassarsi ed affrontare tutto quello che gli viene chiesto in maniera più tranquilla e spontanea.
In Italy, we have started 600 students. During the COVID period, we have continued regularly with the meeting that we have held online to support the teacher. They greatly appreciated their benefits in this particular difficult time for them. The Friend Project has stimulated the interest of the prison in Alessandria, Piemonte. I would like to share with you a Chinese proverb. When the wind of change blows, some people build walls and others build windmill. I think that is our case.
My city has joined the Friends project, becoming a partner, the only Italian municipality to take on this role. Sicilia is also a member of the Healthy Cities Network, being a part of the board. The Healthy Cities Network promotes actions increasing well-being in cities. Healthy Cities Network is supported by WHO. Within this organization was presented the Friends Project for involving the Youth Municipality Council. You can see the Healthy Cities Network page that presents the initiative. The presentation of the project found space in the local press. An article appeared with the significant title, Inclusive School, Youth Like the Friends Project. The project, led by the director of the elderly home, was presented at the final works in Lisbon, obtaining further space in the newspaper.
We applied the meditation in staff and prison officers, and also in inmates, and those inmates with a very long detention time. And we see here basically the same results that we obtained for teachers. Again, so this is the total sample. So over the 32 individuals that received meditation, we have a decrease in anxiety from pre-intervention to post-intervention, and decrease in stress, significant effect, but also an increase in positive affect, so increase in well-being, positive emotions that increase, and negative emotions that decrease. So the balance, the overall well-being increased after receiving the protocol of TM. And the results on the inmate samples, huge decrease in depression. And being a clinical psychologist, to me, this is a very promising result, because depression in prison setting is very tough to address. So meditation was very helpful there. So we wanted to expand the sample and really provide the opportunity for many more inmates and prison officers to receive the TM, because we observed very promising results in terms of anxiety, depression, stress, and also improvement in emotional well-being. And the fact of entering the prison setting and being able to deliver the intervention with this peculiar population was really very important. So everywhere the prison setting is very stressed, so having a very promising tool as TM is important to be able to relieve this stress also in this prison context.
The Stress-Free Prison Project has the goal to increase resilience, improve efficiently psychological health, reduce stress and anxiety, negative aspects of the inmates' characters, and the risk of burnout for the staff. The implementation of Transcendental Meditation has proven to be the key to reach the aim of the project, confirmed by research. I wish that this experience can be useful so that there can be the chance to access to projects like the Friends.
Thank you.
We close with a video showing the concrete results in prison, and we will see that they can go really very deep.
avendo una popolazione detenuta anche con delle pene molto lunghe, abbiamo ritenuto che fosse sicuramente un'opportunità da offrire e abbiamo deciso di offrirla proprio alle persone che dovranno stare molti anni in carcere, ritenendo che l'apprendimento di una tecnica che porta del benessere o comunque una capacità di gestire le difficoltà non poteva che giovare.
In questo carcere c'è stata questa occasione e ho pensato bene di ripropormi e devo dire che sono lieto di averlo fatto, perché a distanza di mesi è una cosa che credo abbia riempito meglio il mio tempo. Riempire meglio il tempo significa stare meglio con se stessi. Questo silenzio che è utile per rigenerarmi e sono diventato anche più paziente rispetto al mio temperamento un po' aggressivo. Quindi è un'esperienza che continuerò a fare e spero di non abbandonare mai, perché dà benessere. Io ricerco il vero e quindi in questa dimensione che pratico giornalmente 2 volte al giorno riesco ad avere dei contatti con me stesso che mi giovano.
L'inizio è stato appunto grazie all'opportunità che ci è stata data di questo progetto che avete portato del carcere, e avendo io si offriva a detenuti che avessero una pena lunga, insomma qualcosa di non condanne piccole. E io purtroppo rientravo in questa categoria e quindi l'ho accettata, mi è sembrata subito una cosa, pur non conoscendo, non avevo mai sentito parlare di meditazione trascendentale, quindi mi è piaciuta l'idea. La cosa che subito mi ha entusiasmata è stata, da subito ho notato questa cosa, che se meditavo dormivo bene, se smettevo di meditare riprendevo a avere dei disturbi. E quindi questa cosa è stata un po' quello che mi ha motivato a continuare, e adesso a distanza di 8 mesi che meditiamo, se non medito mi manca.
Ho iniziato la meditazione così per gioco, per passatempo. Poi sono una persona molto, molto scettica, no? E finché non vedo non credo. E così per curiosità ho provato a fare questo corso di meditazione. Io sono una persona molto istintiva e questo mi ha sempre causato problemi, e da quando sto meditando riesco a fare quello che mi hanno sempre detto, cioè di contare fino a 10. È una cosa buona, riesco a trovarmi meno in situazioni spiacevoli, riesco a tollerare un po' di più e è una cosa buona. Io ho sempre provato a smettere di fumare ma senza avere risultati, mentre invece adesso è un mese esatto, 29 giorni, che ho smesso di fumare, non fumo proprio zero, né una sigaretta né niente, e la cosa che mi fa ancora più specie è che le volte che ho provato a smettere di fumare ero più irritabile, più nervoso, invece adesso la prendo proprio, come si dice, con filosofia, proprio sul ridere, non sento quella mancanza, non la sento. Posso dire che ho avuto degli effetti benefici, perché di solito io mi guardo allo specchio e vedo solo l'immagine riflessa, mentre invece da quando sto meditando riesco a vedere anche oltre l'immagine, riesco a vedere dentro di me, nella profondità, cosa ho dentro, a riflettere di più sulle cose, a essere più razionale anche sulle cose.
I have the benefit to be part of the Euro project that implemented quiet time in some schools in Sweden. It was so great to get the feedback from teachers, especially, it's easier to cope with the stress. And the students, some students could say, oh, you changed my life, I can sleep. I'm much clearer when I'm in school. It's fantastic. So it was a big joy to be a part of it. And especially one school in the center of Sweden, a school that started because we got a lot of migrants here in Sweden, refugees, and many children came without parents. So it's a great stress to a new country, a new language and everything. So in this school, the Welcome School, they implemented a quiet time, and it was a big help for the students to have this technique. Many of them also managed to go on to higher educations, something that usually is very difficult for them. But so it was a great help for them.
Jag hade en lärare som kom till mig och berättade om det här TM och att han hade jobbat med det på tidigare skolor med gott resultat. Jag kände redan efter ett par, 3 gånger effekt att jag kunde fokusera på ett annat sätt och det gav mig energi. Det sprids ju överhuvudtaget i skolvärlden idag att man får fler och fler hemmasittare. Och sen har vi många barn med prestationsångest. Och att kunna hjälpa barnen att hantera det tycker jag är jätteviktigt.
Det är lite så här kaos ibland i klassen. Men efter meditationen känns det som att alla lugnar ner sig. Det är nice, det är skönt.
Man går ner i en sån stillhet att det kändes nästan som att man lämnade sig själv. Och det hände ganska tidigt. Men då fick vi ju veta det. Det var ju så det skulle vara. Så det är lite häftigt att man med ganska enkla medel kan komma dit hem. För då förstår man ju också att det är total vila. Barnen var med på noterna direkt och sen mejlade vi ut till föräldrarna och det blev jättebra respons. Det var 100% som blev intresserade. Bara det här att gå in i en högstadiegrupp där det är stimmigt och hormonstint och det här är lite strypkoppel på dem. Att gå in dit och säga nu sluter vi ögonen och så är det bara tyst. Det är ju något som är en upplevelse utan dess like.
Good experiences and state-of-the-art practices are the very core of the Friends project. Experiences need to be sustainable. I will start with the strong statement that investment in well-being makes sense in economic terms, even in times of economic downturn and in a pandemic environment. We know that the cost of inaction, the cost of doing nothing are huge. Even leaving aside the cost of violence against children, we have to mention 3 different macro costs. The cost of early school leaving, the cost of teachers burnout, and the cost of mental health, both for students and teachers, made explosive by the ongoing global pandemic, as documented by a recent survey carried out by the World Health Organization. Investing in well-being is a vital priority, and QTTM is an effective way to do so. Coming now to the financial strategies, we must move from the extraordinary to the normality, also knowing that is the first condition for sustainability. The first keyword is flexibility. Let's guarantee to each school some degree of freedom in organizing their curriculum. The second keyword is autonomy. There is a fundamental teaching coming from our Portuguese friend. They have recently introduced the possibility to hire dedicated staff in charge of well-being programs in the school. And this is a fundamental achievement we have to take into account and to give them the greatest consideration. Coming to the European level, 3 are the main questions arising from the project. Well-being, attention, and inclusive education are among the best investment we can choose for supporting the next generation. And it is therefore essential within the Recovery Fund to make room for robust investment in well-being. The second recommendation is promoting the European network of teaching training centers as a tool for exchanging good practices, delivering teachers training, and accompanying schools. And the third and final one is promoting research on and evaluation of well-being and inclusive educational programs. If we can do all the things well, we will have provided a fundamental contribution to generating systemic change based on well-being and inclusive education.
I would like to say a great and really big thank you to all the participants in this seminar. I think we have had some experiences and videos and things that can help us to understand that this project originally addressed to the world of schools, to education, in its reality can be expanded in many other applications. So this is a message for us as a coordinator, for us as a consortium, to think about the future of Erasmus reprogramming in these days. So I hope that Erasmus, the European Parliament, the Erasmus people will take into account the opportunity to expand this experience that are not strictly related to education, but that involve, in one hand, the inner side of the students, and the other hand, their participation to the community. And so thank you very much for taking this message so hard and so strong. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening and see you the next project meeting that I hope will be very soon.
Perhaps I'll also just say one thing to thank the EU also for these two projects, which have been such a great inspiration across Europe and has led to some very considerable developments. Thank you.